basically the question was about seer stones. My dad had a friend, and he worked in the dream mine, and it's quite interesting because his wife, she had got this stone from her grandfather, Philo Dibble, who had taken it from the mantle on Joseph Smith's fireplace. When the mobs came, he grabbed it, brought it to Salt Lake, passed it down, came to this family, and the family, it's kind of interesting because he wrote a book on the dream mine, and the family had this stone for many years, and then my dad wrote a book on Seers and Seer stones, and so the Seers and Seer stones book, when he went up there to get it, I have a video about some of the story of how he wrote the book. But anyway, what happens is I take this stone as a little kid, I'm about 6 or 7, maybe younger, and I take the stone and I just hold it. It's kind of got a weird feel, and I just kind of sense it, and then I just close my eyes and just saw what comes. And so things would start coming, and I would start seeing things in my mind's eye. And so how I explain seership to people is that when you look at the Bible, there were open visions. There were times when they're sitting there and poof, an angel comes and stands there and talks to them, or God, or they see something, and it's an open vision. Those don't happen very often, very, very rarely. But what usually happens is they have dreams. So when Christ was born, they had a dream to go here, a dream to go there. You know, in the Book of Mormon, Lehi had dreams to go here and there, and when to go, and who was supposed to go back. And so they called him a visionary man. And so they call this visions of the night, or dreams. But also, when you hold a seer stone, or you know, some people look into them, but as you do that, you start to see images in your mind's eye. So like if I tell people, okay, so close your eyes and imagine an elephant, like a white elephant. Okay, so go ahead and do that. And so tell me when you see the elephant, if you can. Yeah, okay, yeah. So you see this elephant. All right, now have a lion come and stand by the elephant. Okay, now have the lion jump over the elephant. Okay? Okay, so open your eyes. So was the lion a male lion or a female lion?
Female.
Female, okay. Some people have female lions, some people have male lions. I don't know what it means. But so now that's your mind creating in the visions of the night, or in a seership mode. The ability to do that is this pineal gland. A lot of things are clogging that up today. And this is why we use borax. And so borax, a little tiny bit of borax once in a while will clean that out. Just take a little tad bit of borax and then drink it, just a little pinch, and that helps clean out your system, and cleans out everything. Sometimes don't take too much.
And the purpose of a seer stone, would I be able to do any of this without a stone?
Yeah, sure. Some people are very gifted, that way, and a girl came in to my home one time, and she asked me, they were asking about seer stones, and I just looked at her, and I had that, I could see it in my mind's eye, and I said, "You're Native American." And she goes, "I am not," a little offended by that. And I said, no, you are, and you need to talk to your mother. And she says, "Really?" And so she kind of stormed out of there. And then the next time we met, she says, "Okay, we got a story." She came and sat down. She says, "I went in and talked to my mother." And I said, "This seer guy, he says that he could see stuff, and said that I have Native American in me." And she goes, "Oh, really? That's interesting. Well, we need to go in the other room." So we go in the other room, and he says, "Just so you know, your father was pretty much almost pure Native American. Very white-skinned individual, but he was pure Native American, or close. I can't remember how close. But she'd come in again after that wanting to learn about seership. So I taught her this method, and I said, now just try and see it in your mind's eye. And I had something that was lost, and I called her up and said, too emotional, can you see anything? And she found it. Just a week after I taught her this, she just grabbed a stone and held it and just closed her eyes and just started to see that. So some people, they need to close their eyes, they need to hold a stone. A stone, I believe, is kind of earthy, which holds the records of the earth or things that are there. It has an ability to, certain stones, some stones are better than others, have that ability to help you to kind of kickstart that in.
So I could technically go and find my own stone.
Yeah, and it's usually attracted to it. And I tell people sometimes, it's not a perfect science, but take the stone, put it in your left hand, which is a receiving hand, and then just kind of meditate and feel, and it'll warm up. It'll kind of warm up. I had a stone one time, it didn't warm up, it went cold. I'm like, not for me. And so just hold it in your hand, and then take that, and then look at, and then close your mind and clear things out of your mind, and just see. You can ask questions, what was it that happened, or what's going to happen, or, and just let that flow, and you'll start to have these visionary type experiences.
I remember reading that Martin Harris had his own vision stone, and it was giving him a lot of inaccurate things.
Correct.
Would that maybe be one of the cold stones, or something that's not good?
Yeah, maybe, Joseph Smith, it's the Moses snake, Pharaoh snake. They're still snakes. They still, everything's the same, except one's a little bit more not good and one's a little more good. And so one time they came to Joseph Smith and they said, Joseph, what about these stones here? We found these two, and look, you say these words and it charges up and you can see in them, and so they did that, and Joseph looked in and he goes, oh my heck, these are the best seer stones I've ever seen. But they're dedicated to Satan. Take them out and destroy them. They were called the Shemezer stones. That's in my dad's Dreamline book, or Seer stone book. And so he takes them and goes and they destroy them. And so they were bad. They were dedicated to Satan. The old story was that Joseph had him in a fireplace one time, or in a mantle or something there, buried, and the Book of Mormon, the gold plates. And all of a sudden, the Lord said, move him, get him out of there. So he moved him. And then here comes this mob, and they start tearing up the fireplace and everything, looking for this thing, and they found it, and then they left. And so he goes back and says, well, hey, Lord, how come they knew where that was? And he said, because this wicked woman, she had a seer stone, and she was seeing where that was. So the dark side plays with those gifts as much as the good side.
Because I'd heard there was a seer in Joseph's village that was producing visions with stones before he ever even had his plates.
Yeah.
That's really interesting. I'm going to have to go out into the West Desert and look for some seer stones.
I picked up a stone, and just like you gave it to somebody. I had one for, in fact, I think that girl that came in, I gave her one, that I didn't want to give away. I was like, I don't want to give, In fact, one of those large tetrahedral crystals that the military used here in Utah, I had one, and I gave it to a friend of mine just recently, and I was like,
So if a stone works for me, could it be bad for somebody else? Or
possibly, there's all that kind of stuff. I've had friends that had a stone, it worked great, and they handed it to some friend, and the friend was bad, and it went bad, and they never saw it again. There's one story in the Seers and Seer Stones book. The guy has this gift, and he sees everything, and then all of a sudden he takes the stone, and he goes to look in it, and then he hands it to his friend to see. And his friend said, I want to see Satan. And so he saw Satan, and then the stone never worked after that.
So seer stones aren't necessarily just for LDS people. They could be for anyone.
Yeah, they Native Americans used them. They had them for years. As you said, there were druids. I think almost every culture I've ever run into, they talk about stones and their value, or they see with them, or they bring in a good vibration. They help you to come up to a level where you start to see things or have that. That could be some of that could be clarifying, could be cleansing the body or allowing dark forces not to be there. Brigham Young had a bloodstone that he carried with him when he felt there was dark entities, so that would help him to be clear of them, and so he could have better revelation.